Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Liverpool Latest. I'm your host, Matt. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, comment if you want to join in on the conversation, and subscribe if you want to see more. I also implore you to share this video with your other friends that are Liverpool fans, because I would like the channel to grow as much as possible, and I want to get as many opinions on the team as possible. Today is a bit more of an opinion-based video with facts we have accumulated over the course of the last 24 hours since that despicable Leeds tie or draw, and it is something that has been weighing heavily on my mind. I've procrastinated making this video throughout the entire day today, as today is Friday, and there's not much I can say, but there is a quote that I will read to you that kind of coincides with the little side piece that I have on the side here, where it's called aluminum foil football. Because there is a report that I picked up from BBC, pause, that basically sums up everything that we have been feeling over the course of the last 24 hours. One BBC Sport reader summed up his feelings of the fan base in their text. I guess their live text for the game or something. Liverpool still look as though there is a piece missing. And said Jan from Rye. I guess that is a town or a city in England. And adds on to this. This is what hit me. Heavy metal football, this is not. This is not even aluminum foil football. And that's all I have to say. I could end the video right here. And that's it. That's all we have to know. This is not heavy metal football. This is aluminum foil football, or tin foil as we call it here in the States. Which makes sense, because despite the fact that we have been having an unbeaten run, which I'll get to in a very quick moment, it doesn't excuse the fact that we had 19 shots in yesterday's game, only 4 of them being on target, with a goal, I guess the percentage that they use to tally, the amount of goals that could have been scored, 1.96. We didn't even make a 2 on that. All right, that's pathetic. It also doesn't help that we were also consistently offside throughout the course of the game, especially in the first half. There was like 4 of them I could count on from my watch. And it's terrible. This is a team that does not play like a team. And I will read you another quoted thing that I saw on Twitter after the game by someone by the name of Sam, or who goes by @MindOfSamu on Twitter. I will shout you out in that, because I think this quote or this tweet also sums up how we've been feeling over the course of the last day. He goes and says, "I am struggling what Arne Slot's philosophy is this season. It looks like we're relying on individual brilliance than playing well as a team." And that was kind of my fear going into the transfer window. We had all these great individual signings, but how well will those individual signings coincide with each other as a team? Some play with other players better than others. I talked about yesterday with the Gakpo and Kirkez situation, how Kirkez's opportunities are, how he just has no chemistry with Gakpo. Gakpo would rather pass the fucking ball or cut inside and pass it backwards than do whatever Kirkez wants him to do with the ball, with opportunities he either sees or has with it. And that is affecting the team quite a bit. There's just no chemistry. I know injuries are also playing a factor too, but there's no chemistry with the team. It's abysmal to watch. It's been abysmal all season to watch. This is not a championship team. It's not. How Slot is defending this is beyond me, because in that same article from BBC I just talked about, Slot defended his side's approach, stressing possession without incision means little, and reiterated he won't encourage players to exaggerate contact. I guess in the sense where everybody thought that it should have been a penalty that Ekitike should have been given. I don't think it was much of a penalty, especially considering Ekitike did not go down. So I guess that's kind of what he's talking about, how players will exaggerate the contact. Like, oh, no, I broke my leg. Oh, I got up 5 seconds later. I hate that in football. I really do. But it's terrible. I don't know how he's defending any of this, to be honest with you. I would, as a manager, I would expect to be sacked sooner rather than later for a performance like that. And I tell you that because Liverpool have beaten the little shit out of Leeds in the past under a certain German manager that we all love very much. Now we can't even beat them. Or if we attempt to beat them, we are undone horribly in the sense where we draw both times in a season. And it's absolutely awful. Sturridge, Liverpool player, mind you, a former Liverpool player, noted that they looked fatigued, pointing out the lack of sharpness and movement in the final third. Yeah, because clearly the tactics of Leeds with a 5-4-1 compact defensive avenue here, a compacted defensive wall that they were having, clearly was not working with our still not working 4-2-3-1. All right? Slot doesn't adjust. That's the problem. He does not adjust to what it's being seen in front of him, and it's mind-blowing to me. And the substitutions he puts on oftentimes make the team worse than what they already are from a starting 11 perspective. So it's disgusting. This is not a team. This is, as Sam pointed out, this is individuals who are playing for their own brilliance, not as a cohesive unit. And it begs the question, as I try and move to the other section here, it begs the opinion that I've seen a lot of people talk about online, and I myself are in agreement with. Mo Salah was never really the problem. We got on him early in the season for his poor performances, I think because we all expected something more of him. At the same time, we also weren't taking into account, as these early games of the season were being played, that Slot really had no tactics, or his tactics were so easily readable or so poor from a planning perspective that teams were just able to counter it right away. I often talked about how the fact that let's give Mo Salah the ball and see what happens and have no one coming up behind him for him to set up any potential goals for them as opposed to himself. He was getting double teamed like every which way. He was getting practically assaulted when no fouls were ever being called on him, but that's besides the point. I'm not going to sit here and say, and I love Mo Salah as much as anybody. It's my favorite player on the team. I'm not going to sit here and say Mo isn't part of the problem. After all, in this case, individual brilliance is what we've been relying on to win games, or score points even. But at the same time, the system around him, created by Slot and his coaching staff, is not working at all. It's been clearly evident for several months now. And it makes me angry that nothing has been done to fix this. I'd like to think, to some degree, I'd like to think that after the last Leeds game, not this one, the one that caused the whole meltdown of Salah, that Salah was trying to wake up the team a little bit. I'm not saying he was trying to create a mutiny, but I want him to believe that he was trying to wake the team up in the sense where it's like, hey, something we're doing is not working, and we don't know if it's necessarily us. Or we don't think it's necessarily us, I should say. And you know what? Clearly it didn't work because Liverpool continued to back Slot for some strange reason. And I am also in agreement in the sense that the individual player is not bigger than the club. I think overall the club has to matter, and no individual player is above that. some of Mo's comments kind of made that a little evident, where he thought he was a little bit bigger in the club at times, from my personal perspective. But we have to sit here and think to ourselves that now that he's not playing with us right now, he's in AFCON for Egypt, doing relatively well for himself. Is he really the problem? Because this is what we have to expect after he leaves. This is the team that we are going to have after he leaves, more or less. So, are we going to sit here and continue to defend Slot for his shit tactics? Or are we going to continue to blame Mo for his poor performances? Or are we going to sit here and look at this objectively and say, Mo isn't even part of the team right now, and Slot's still here, and clearly, the fact that we are struggling to beat easily beatable teams should say something to you as the fan and the viewer of these matches. And the fans in Anfield, no less, because clearly Slot's style of football is so boring in the sense that I can barely hear the crowd half the time chant the goddamn thing, because there's no energy. There's no energy. You want to know who did bring energy, though, to the team? I'm not going to sit here and do the whole revisionist history thing that people try to do. Because Luis Diaz had problems, all right? He had his own problems with the team at times, okay? He had his own poor performances, his own inconsistent runs. But what I will give him props for, Luis Diaz, was the fact that he was always trying to press on the offensive side in the final third. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that. We don't have and I'm not going to say Darwin Nunez. I'm not going to do that whole revisionist history with him either. Darwin Nunez we all trashed him for years while he was on the team, but he did offer a bit of creativity in the offense that we appreciated. His own individual performances were poor, but at least he offered creativity for the team from in the final third, all right? If Darwin Nunez was chaos, as many of us called it online, Luis Diaz was cocaine. And I don't just say that because he is Colombian. That would be a little stereotypical. But I always equivalated his style of play to being on cocaine. Because he was always constantly pressing. He was always doing something to try and score a goal. Regardless of whether he scored that goal or not, or if it was a poor attempt at a goal, at least he was trying to press and make something from out of the offense. Whether it was by himself or with teammates behind him. We don't have that anymore. Or at least not as prevalent as it was. And that makes me bummed out. All right? Our offensive press has suffered significantly by losing Luis Diaz. And I beg the question if letting him go was ever really the right move. I can live with with Nunez being gone. Believe me. Diaz, on the other hand, if I look at this from I'm not trying to do revisionist history. I could see him staying. I'm not angry that he's gone, but I'm angry that the fact that he was not properly replaced for what he meant for the team. And that was the offensive press. And the fact that we have poorly tried to implement that by having a bunch of big-name players on the team that clearly are not meshing well. And there's no press because, well, slot ball is essentially monotonous, boring garbage. That's what we have now. We had Colombian cocaine to, Adderall, Vicks ZQuil. That's what we have. If you know Vicks ZQuil in the US, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's that sleeping medicine. So, that's all I have to say on that matter. It makes me angry. It really does. Though I hate when I record these videos and I get angrier as time goes on as I record it. This also makes me really upset. Poor Harvey, man. Harvey Elliot is 22 years old and getting jerked around more than a desperate 50-year-old middle-aged dad on a Saturday in Las Vegas. Okay, trying to get a little bit of play because his wife won't fuck him. Okay, that's what he's getting like. He's getting jerked around more than that. It's sad. Villa has frozen him out. He hasn't played since October 2nd, and clearly Emery and Villa have made the decision as far back as November that they did not want to sign Harvey Elliott permanently. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Harvey Elliott's my favorite player, but at times when I would see him play, he was offering a lot more than our star players or our starters on the field. As a sub, I don't care for him much as a starter, but as a sub, he certainly offered quite a bit. This is a young kid, man. And the fact that he's been jerked around like this is a real shame. And it bums me out. It makes me question Slot in the sense where, why do we have all these young players? Why did we ship out all these young players who could clearly have been, they could have meant something for the team in the long term if they had stayed? Now, I talked about this for weeks. Harvey Elliott could get recalled, right? No. We can't recall him because there is no recall clause in the loan agreement with Villa, which means not only is Elliott not part of Arne Slot's immediate plans going forward, which makes a straightforward return for him coming back more difficult, but having already played 2 clubs this season, Elliott can't even join another European club until the summer. So now we can't even get Harvey back. Because he's already, there's that clause and there's that rule. And God damn it. What the fuck was that noise? Oh my God. And you know what makes it even worse? The MLS could potentially be his saving grace. Now, if we think of the MLS as soccer or football fans, well, especially in the US, people that are fans of soccer, as we call it, we consider the MLS to be the retirement league for aging stars from the Premier League and other European leagues coming in, making a bit of a name for themselves, doing whatever, maybe winning a not so prevalent championship in the grand scheme of all the other sports that are in this country, between hockey, NBA, football, the World Series, everything. All right? The MLS is essentially where what people consider careers go to die. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Messi's career is dying. I mean, he just won the championship with Inter Miami. Good for him. But at the same time, it begs the question, he's an aging player. What more could he have done? Where could he have signed? So, it seems like Charlotte FC, they want to secure Elliott's discovery rights and be prepared to offer him a regular football deal immediately. And which is weird because the MLS season is, I believe it's throughout the summer going into fall. And if we wanted to recall him back in the summer, Harvey Elliott, Liverpool being, does that mean it fucks over Charlotte now? Because now they're down a player? I don't know. I genuinely don't know the ins and outs of this. I'm not really sure how these two leagues interact with each other in this regard. This is a new ground for me, folks. All right? But the MLS rules allow him to play despite appearances for both Liverpool and Villa. And there's some strong UK links as well with Dean Smith and Zoran Cornetta, who have helped Charlotte move into the pole position. So I obviously would like to see Harvey stay in the Premier League, but clearly that's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. And it seems like with the World Cup being in the US, the MLS offers some visibility, minutes, clearly, because I'm sure he'll play quite a bit, and momentum. But I just feel bad for Harvey that now he's a young player that got screwed over by the club that he started with and probably loved, got sent to some fuck-off team with Villa, and they treated him like shit. Clearly, they had no interest in ever signing him because if they made this decision back in November, it's clear as day considering he hasn't played since October, early October, no less. It's a bummer. So I feel for Harvey. Harvey's probably one of my favorite substitutions we can make on the field most of the time, regardless of whether how some of his laziness I notice on the pitch. All right, but the fact that he's got to go to the MLS to play games, get minutes, do anything, that's sad. That's a real sad turn of events. I hope he comes back, but I just wish him the best. There's nothing more I can do. And once again, of course, I blame Slot for the handling the situation. So that's all I have today for Liverpool Latest. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment on the video if you want to, with your thoughts. Let's be cool about this. I have my own opinions. You have your own opinions. Let's hash it out. And subscribe if you want to see more from the channel. Today was a bit more of a opinion-based video with some facts intertwined, of course, but hopefully I'll have some actual news with the January transfer window, but I highly doubt we'll be getting anything good at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Unless you're Harvey Elliot being turned down by your home or being screwed over by your own home club. You'll never walk alone, I guess.